What's going on YouTube? Cooper the Reseller coming at you from Omaha, Nebraska. And in this video, I want to talk about something I've been getting a lot of questions on. I've seen a lot of people concerned about, and that is Mercari safe to use? Is it a safe platform? Are you going to get scammed on it? I'm scared of this. I'm scared of that. I just want to go ahead and take you to the actual Mercari website and show you some of the safeguards they put in place so you do not get scammed. A little bit of background for me. I've been selling on Mercari for a couple years now, and I love the platform. I've never had any experiences getting scammed or anything like that, and I think all of that is a lot of BS. I have heard of a few different things that I'll bring to your attention in regards to some sketchy stuff about Mercari, but let's just go ahead and get onto the website and look what they say about the safety of using Mercari. And on this page right here, this is just the Mercari Help Center. As you can see, they have a bunch of different articles and all about Mercari down here. And the thing I really want to focus on is the buyer protection. So go ahead and click on this and we can kind of review what it says. And they have a money back guarantee, which is awesome. Buy with confidence. We've got your back with our money back guarantee. Receive your item as described or we'll refund your money. That's awesome. That sounds like a win-win to me. How can it go wrong? Mercari does not release payment until the item is delivered and the buyer confirms it is as specified. If an item received is not as described in the listing, the buyer may request a full refund within 3 days of the receipt of the item. So this puts the buyer in power to determine if their item is what they expected it to be, which is awesome. So that safeguards you from being scammed. That right there is amazing. As a seller, I've sold a lot of items, and there's been a few times where people or my buyers have not been happy with the items they received, and they marked it not as received for whatever reason. There might have been a hole in a shirt that I forgot to put in the description, or a rip in a pair of jeans or something like that. And I have no problem accepting returns if that happens. And that's the same thing for you as a buyer. If you buy something and it shows up broken or it shows up not as expected, Mercari is giving you the power right here within 3 days of receipt of the item to say that it is up to your expectations. So I highly recommend, as soon as you get the item, inspect it, make sure it's good to go, and then you can go ahead and mark it as whatever you want to. Then you can review the item and the seller, and they don't get paid until you accept the item. Now, after the 3 days, if you don't review it, they're going to auto review it. And then from there on out, I'm not sure what happens, but I don't think you can return it or anything like that beyond the 3 days, because they need to get the buyers pay, or they need to get the sellers paid, so they can't be waiting forever. So they give you that 3-day window of receiving the item, which I think is totally fair. To keep you safe, we ask that all transactions take place in the app. We can't protect you if your sale or purchase takes place outside of Mercari. This is really important. Sometimes sellers will message you if they're scamming. They'll be like, yo, can I get your phone number? I want to sell this to you outside the app. Message me on Instagram or something. Mercari's really gotten good at blocking these types of messages from happening. Usually they'll just automatically pick it up and take away the messages that they send you. But always buy on the app and nowhere else. Otherwise, you won't be covered by their policy. How do returns work? Return requests must be made within 3 days of the confirmed delivery and before the buyer has rated the seller. All sales are final after the buyer rates the seller or after 3 days of delivery. So that 3-day window is really important. As long as you do everything within that 3-day window, you should be good to go. An item is eligible to return or refund if it meets one of the following conditions. It's not as described. There's undisclosed damage to the item. Seller has not shipped the item. Or incorrect/missing item. So you might be worried, what if the buyer never sends me the item? You're covered right here. What if they send you the wrong item? It's all covered right here. This is important to know too. Some people might not realize this, but an item is not eligible for return or refund for one of the following conditions. It was accurately described in the listing. The item does not fit. Now that's the biggest one right here. You changed your mind Return request made more than 3 days after received, so that answers that question. Return request made after an item is rated, and transaction conducted offline. So these are all really important to keep in mind. This is really important that it does not fit. If you order a shirt, it's too big, it's too small, you're not going to be able to return it unless you can somehow get an item not as described and convince Mercari that it was not described correctly. I highly recommend asking for measurements if you're buying shirts or pants or shorts or whatever, so you can make sure it fits, measure whatever clothes fits you good, and then compare that to what you're buying online. If the seller sells something that's, let's say, a size medium shirt, but it got shrunken way down and it only fits like a size small shirt, you might be able to get that returned because it was not described correctly. If they did not provide any measurements and they didn't say that it was shrunken down, you might be able to get that to be returned. But try to get the evidence or the measurements of whatever you're buying just to make sure it'll fit, so you don't have to worry about this. Let's see. And this is what you do if you received an item that was not described in the listing. Don't rate the seller. The rating of the seller completes your order. Contact us in the app instead. You have 3 days after confirmed delivery to try and request a return. So that's really important. Fraud warning. You should be vigilant about protecting yourself against fraudsters and scams. This is really important too. Yeah, the too good to be true. If something's too good to be true, for example, this happened to me the other day on Facebook Marketplace, but it can also apply on Mercari. I was trying to find a Nintendo Switch, and there was a listing on Facebook Marketplace for one for $250, and it came with a bunch of games and stuff, and all the other Switches, like the bottom price was nothing under $300. The most of them were going for like $350, but the one I saw was $250. It looked legit, but it was just too good to be true. So I went ahead and bought it. And then the dude contacted me and he's like, yo, this, for some reason, the payment's not going through on on Facebook Marketplace. Can I cancel it? And then you can just pay me directly on Facebook Pay. And I was like, bruh, seriously? I'm not that stupid. But that could also happen on Mercari. They'll try to tell you that something on any platform, not just Mercari, but they'll say it's not working. Can you pay me on this? Don't fall for that. There is a lot of people that fall for that. No shame if that's happened to you. It's just a hard way to learn. But you just, if it's too good to be true, keep an eye on it. And if the seller's acting sketchy, you need to stay away from them. I think if there's any scams or stuff that's going on, you can fish out the sellers that are good and you can filter out the sellers that are bad. Try to go for sellers with good feedback. Try to avoid the sellers especially sellers with like really bad photos. And if you're buying something fragile from them, it looks like they don't have a lot of experience. It's probably not going to be shipped to you that well. But that's kind of a tangent. We don't have to worry about that too much. And this is, so you have a money back guarantee, something definitely to keep in mind. And then I also wanted to cover as a seller, the seller side as well, seller protection, which I have this article pulled up as well. It's basically the same thing. You just need to ship your items as described, ship it within 3 business days, follow the terms and conditions. Shipping protection, ship with confidence. Shipments using Mercari prepaid labels include shipping protection up to $200 for items that are lost or damaged in transit. So that's awesome. If you're selling something really fragile, I highly recommend considering using the Mercari prepaid labels because they'll give you this shipping protection. And then getting paid, people ask about that all the time. You get paid within 3 days of the buyer receiving the item unless they rate you before those 3 days are up, and then you can rate the buyer. There was one other thing I wanted to point out. Where was this? All right, down here. So usually if you need to contact Mercari, they will have you message them via the app, and I've heard of people having success with that. I've had success with that, but I've also heard of people not having success with that. Right here, if you suspect that you might be a victim of fraud, please call us at this number. I've never tried this before, but definitely give it a try. If reaching out to them on the app has not been working for you, give that a try. One other thing I wanted to mention is I've heard of people's balances getting wiped off their account. So whether if you're a seller and you got a bunch of money on the account, like $200, I highly recommend redeeming that every week, at least, into your bank account. You don't want money sitting on your Mercari app that long. I've heard of people losing balances off their account. I don't know how it happens. I've never had it happen to me, but I highly recommend doing that. Mercari is a Chinese-owned company, something to keep in mind. How much you trust the Chinese and the Mercari app is up to you. I've never been scammed, but people have been, but you can usually protect yourself from it, and Mercari will protect you from getting scammed with the money back guarantee. So if you have any questions, definitely go to the Mercari Help Center if you want to read more. There's a bunch more articles and stuff, refunds, cancellations, stuff like that, returns, prohibited conduct, all that stuff. But I hope this video helped you out. If it did, please smash the like button. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content similar to this or reselling content. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.